Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is a lecture by Larson. It will be on Qi Gong, health and longevity. I'd just like to throw a few words out. I've been a martial artist, yoga person, massage person for 30, 40 years, and I had heard about these sorts of trainings back in the 70s and thought, oh gee, I'll never get a chance to go to China, to the temples, to Northwest China. And what I'm realizing in this universe and age we live in, you can never say never. And I went to a demonstration just like you folks are at here today, and I seen what they were doing, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is it, they're doing it. And so I was very shocked and enthused, and so there'll be a lecture, and like I said, there'll be a time to ask questions. When I first started this, it is a commitment of time and money, but I thought, gee, I'm going to try this. This looks really interesting. Within 3 months, I had much more energy than I had before, and I'm a pretty high energy person anyway. And by a year and a quarter, I had so much energy, they taught me some ways to begin to contain and hold that energy. And that worked well too. Nowadays, because of this, I believe my bones are denser because I'm wearing clothes that I used to wear 8 or 9 years ago, and they're looser, although I weigh a little more, so I think I've picked up bone density. I think this has helped eliminate a bunch of heavy metals in my body so that, hopefully I won't have cancer-y type stuff happening as I get older. I work out 1, maybe 2 days a week now, whereas I used to work out 6 days a week, and I seem to get the same effect. My metabolism has increased, and I came strictly for the physical benefits. I didn't realize that there will also be mental and spiritual benefits that I achieved during this practice. And I was really amazed at how it would go down inside you, and any problems that you have, whether physical, mental, energetic, it seems to boil those to the top and gives you the energy to defeat them and overcome them. So without further ado, I want to introduce Lori. But if you have not seen our website, please go to the website. It explains a lot of things, and it has more details on Lori's background. So before I go any longer, let me move out of the way and end.
In 1999, and I was 42 at the time, and I felt like my health I was over the hill. I felt like the best years were gone. And this training revived me. So it inspired me so much that when I heard there was an opportunity to teach, I started studying and learned to teach it. So for me, it's been extremely valuable. And that was just the physical aspect of it. Mentally, I feel like, especially from hand training, and then there's head level training, my intelligence has increased. And also, I had moved to Iowa to be with the Transcendental Meditation community there. And I'd been doing TM for, I don't know how many years at the time. Right now it's maybe 28 to 30 years I've been doing TM. And that was more for spiritual development, and I felt this practice augmented that. So I was having experiences of higher consciousness much quicker and easier because I purified out a lot of toxins. This training detoxes, energizes. It actually grows your energy body. That's the main thing that it does, and we do it through physical vibration of the body, guided visualizations, meditative movement, and herbs. So those three things combined. Now there have been people who are allergic to the herbs, went through the whole training, all the physical levels, without using any herbs. So you don't have to do the herbs, but they help, especially nutritively. On certain levels, you do develop bone density. On head level, I gained 20 pounds, but my clothes all still fit. My density, my bone density went way up. And there's an explanation in Chinese medicine that head is this sea of marrow, the brain, sea of marrow. So we're working on the sea of marrow and it developed the bones. Also hand level really develops the bone. I had a friend with osteoporosis in Fairfield who had actually shrunk and she gained back her inch of height. She's really tiny, so that bothered her a lot, that she had lost an inch. And when she started, it was like every time she'd take a walk, it seemed like she was breaking something, her foot. Or it wasn't quite that bad, but she broke her foot 3 times. And after her training, I don't think she's broken anything since then. And she just did hands, I believe, and some of Golden Shield, which is the abdominal level, and she did a little bit of legs. But that was where she stopped. But I don't think she's broken anything since. So that's an indicator. This training originated, some say, from the Bodhidharma, who was an Indian coming to China and taught this training to monks in the mountain who were meditating for long periods of time. But they couldn't get to the levels they were trying to get to with their meditation because their bodies would fail. They were sitting long periods of time. So the legend is he came and gave them this training. Well, what happened, and that was a couple thousand years ago, what happened is over the centuries, it became utilized by the martial artists, a small group of martial artists who kept it secret because the martial art community seems, from my impression, to be very competitive, and they would keep it secret just in their group and pass it down from generation to generation because it did grow the energy body. And this was they were from Udon Mountain, and there were 3 major mountains, Ermei Mountain, I take that back, Ermei, Udon, and Shaolin. And the martial artists from Ermei, where this training was held secret and they were using it, always won the competition. So eventually they were outlawed from being in the competitions, so they didn't get to compete anymore. But it was held secret until about 15 years ago. The master in China had given one of his students permission when he came here. He passed the whole tradition on to him and said, here, spread it in America for health and longevity, not for the martial art aspects of it. So I really don't know martial arts, and I don't teach martial arts. But this was what made the body strong. It's like Jackie Chan, I'm sure, knows some of this training because you see him fall, he does his own stunts. It's no problem because his energy body is strong. When you have a strong energy body, it protects you. It comes out like an airbag and protects you. And what happens is normally with the amount of energy a normal human being has, when the body is threatened, the qi, the energy, goes to the organs to protect them. It'll run to the liver, spleen, kidneys, lungs. It goes in to protect you. what we do is we actually, with this training, grow the energy body so there's enough energy so the organs are protected if you're threatened, and it actually fires. That's one of the keys to our training, is learning to fire the energy to protect you. And I actually watched my husband Larry, we were building a new house and we were up 11 feet. And it was raining and he was going to go down to the first floor, and he took this ladder and he set it down real hard and stomped on it. And it just slipped, and I saw him fall 11 feet flat on his back. And he jumped up and he goes, "Oh, that feels good." He had done torso training. And that's why I say I believe Jackie Chan and other people who seem to have no problem with these stunts they're doing have this energy. In fact, there's one outtake in one of his movies where he reaches for the doorknob and it comes off and he laughs. That's not because the doorknob was weak. That was because he was excited and his chi was in his hand. And again, I saw Larry pulled the door handle off our truck twice. Because when you're emotional, your chi expresses. So that's another thing I'm going to teach, is how to pull your energy back. How to pull your energy back, how to grow it, and how to conserve it. Different techniques to manage your energy. So it's actually, I found it a lot of fun. In the beginning, I would hear the words, but I didn't really feel my energy. And sometimes now I still don't feel it. It's a very elusive thing, and you adapt very quickly. As you grow more energy, it becomes normal. So you don't even realize you have it. You just feel normal, which is good. We don't want to walk around feeling like some Iron Man or Hulk or something. But it's very useful for longevity and health. In fact, it's a little difficult to teach because I'm teaching you how to grow your energy body. I don't know exactly what your psychophysiology is going to do with that energy. One lady on the first level Golden Shield, it took me 7 months to get through, 7, 8 months. Well, it was taking her 2 years. Everybody's different. We go through at your rate. It's very individualized, the training. And it was taking her 2 years. She'd have to take time off. She'd come back. Well, what eventually happened is it turned out her legs, one was an inch shorter than the other. And by the end of those 2 years, they were the same length. So her body took that energy and healed that aspect of her body. So I don't know what it will do for any of you. For me, it was an extremely positive experience. I feel much clearer, much stronger, much more self-contained than ever before in my life, which is good. It's helpful in just living day to day. So that's kind of the basics of it. Are there any questions at this point?
Why not? I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase this. I know that it sounded like, the way you described it, came from India, went to China. What do you know about any practices like this in Japan? Has it traveled across all throughout Asia?
Well, there's like 3,000 types of Qi Gongs. So this is one specific type that was kept secret. So whether it's in Japan or not, I don't know. I do know my teacher said he was watching the Olympics and they showed this clip of people training for the Olympics, and they were doing the same training we do. So somewhere in China they've pulled it out and are starting to use it. In Japan, I do not know. It's when you do it, you see it's not that complicated. So that it could have been developed somewhere else, but I've never hadn't seen this training before either, so it's fairly rare. I do know that the master who had this training before the last one in China was the main head bodyguard of the last emperor of China. And there are stories of him holding off tanks, and they had to shoot many bullets in him before they could kill him. So he had trained it out much farther than we'll take it. But when the Japanese came in and took over the palace. But it was funny because I saw the movie Last Emperor, I think it was called. And for some reason, I connected with the actor and the character playing that bodyguard. It was a very minor role. Little did I know, maybe 10 years later, I would be doing this training, which he was one of the masters of, who handed it down to Master Yang. I didn't bring this picture out in China. It was the last one in China to have a school of it that I know of. Now, he had 18 students. They maybe teach, some of them may be teaching it in China. So does that answer your question?
Well, when you said 3,000 varieties or styles of it,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, it's probably all over the place.
Not
Wow.
like this, but most of the Qigongs I see, they don't have the aspect of actually growing the energy body. They actually have you try to feel it and move it. But to me, it looks a lot like there's not much, when I feel into it, there's really not much Qi there. They're going through the movements. What we do is we keep growing your energy body, so when you go like this, you can actually feel a ball of energy there. So we're actually growing the energy. We're not just going through the movements of pretending there's energy there. Now that is a technique, because one thing I'll say over and over in this training is your mind drives your energy. Your energy is driving your body, your mind. Wherever your mind is, that's where your energy is going. So a lot of this training is about getting your energy into your body, where it'll do you the most good. And you'll find that you don't have to be, if you have some important project, you don't have to mentally be analyzing and at that project with your mind, because that's draining your energy to some etheric level of nature creation. You don't have to be there to be efficient. I found I am much more efficient by staying my balance point, which is lower dantian, which is just below the navel inside the body. If I stay there, I can still function. I use the mind a lot less, and I'm much more efficient, and I get tired a lot less quickly. So, I mean, I still fall into my old habits every once in a while where my mind's totally out of my body, and I can tell because my eyes start hurting and I get tired. But if I stay in my body, like driving from Michigan, Iowa to here, if I stay with my attention kind of in lower dantian, I just keep gathering energy as I drive, and I'm aware of everything as I'm driving. And I get here, I'm not tired. Doesn't mean I still don't fall into the habit of thinking, oh, I've got a demo and talk today, you know, things like that. But it's very helpful. Hi. I'll come to you. There's a lady behind you.
You mentioned the leg sequence. Does that help women with cellulite?
Cellulite, the best thing that helped me with legs was a level called White Tiger, where we had to walk 3 miles a day. And just that walking, I got rid of my cellulite. And then later, I found out I had a sensitivity to wheat and dairy. And I cut wheat and dairy out of my diet, cellulite went away. It's like it's storing, I wasn't digesting the wheat and dairy properly. It would store the toxins from not digesting it properly into the cellulite. But the walking 3 miles really helped too. Movement, because it flushes the toxin, which is causing the cellulite, out of the fat tissue. Legs training, I don't know that I was aware of cellulite on my body during legs training, so I don't know if Gong work, energy work. So this is about working with your energy to create a system where you conserve it, you grow it, you use it in a more wise fashion. You're aware, become more aware of it.
As far as this training is concerned, it seemed like you said a lot of it is finding the energy and growing the energy within yourself, not so much about moving it or pushing it around.
Yes, but we grow it through physical vibration as well as mental intention and attention.
How does this energy interact with other things? Like we've got plants in the room, trees outside,
Well, with
which are all
natural things usually very well. They usually grow better. Now there's some trainings where we actually use a tree to work on. If you use too small a tree, you could kill the tree. You really, so I've never done that. But my teacher was very, very strong. He almost killed some things working with them because his energy was so powerful and he was so intense on his training. But in general, in the natural world, things are very good. In the electronic world, if you're just beginning a level, the meridians, for example, in hand level can open up. So all of a sudden, you have energy transferring out of your body that, because you've opened a meridian that's been shut down. Most of the meridians are, children are open, usually, in the beginning. But as we grow older, they tend to condense. So what can happen is, especially if you're emotional, because emotions release the energy. So especially if you're emotional, you go to turn on your TV and short circuit it or something. There's been many stories of that kind of thing happening. Again, I've never done anything like that. My husband happens to break things once in a while. Yes, Ed?
Early on in my training, I was having an emotional week. I was having some disagreements with my supervisor, and I was very emotional. And he said some things that I thought were rather unrealistic. And so I said, okay, let's talk about it tomorrow. And I turned, and as I walked past a bank of computers where people were working, as I walked past, the computers shut down, boom, 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 right in a row. And then I came to class, and they explained, oh, you're leaking energy. Don't let that supervisor affect you so much. Hold your energy in and walk past, and then, oh yeah, I forgot. And since that time, I've been able to be much more inside myself and still converse with a supervisor and have disagreements, but keep my energy inside so that I save it.
And as you grow, it becomes easier to just, this is kind of a Taoist philosophy, and the training, you don't have to be a Taoist to do it or get benefits from it, but it's just to go with the flow and just realize that everything coming to you and through you is part of your creation, your lesson, your life, and not to resist and get all emotional about it and shut down a bunch of computer banks or whatever. For me, it happened naturally as time went on to go with the flow more easily.
How much time does it take to do the training?
It depends on the level. The level I recommend starting with is Golden Shield. It's a much easier, not a lot of meditative movement, so you don't have to learn a bunch of like Tai Chi forms or anything. It's pretty simple, there's some visualization, and you see the results pretty quickly. And it's a very important area. This area is liver, spleen, and for women, we tend to store a lot of emotional stuff. We tend to stick it in this area. So it's a good area to do first. And in that level, the longest part of the training is in the beginning. It can take a half hour to an hour, 3 times a week. by the end of the training, you're so strong, it doesn't take much. We give the body a little message, doesn't take a lot. So by the end of the training, maybe 20 minutes 3 times a week. We recommend practicing 3 times a week, but often your lifestyle or your physiology, if you're very frail, especially if you're very thin, you don't have a lot of ingredients to grow the energy, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. So you have to go slower. You may be able to only practice 1 time a week, and that'll be enough. That'll give your body the message, it'll grow, and then next week you do another practice. This is phenomenal in the results. Even though I've heard students say, I don't notice anything, but at the same time, as you'll see, they're doing this level and you can hit them in the stomach with a brick as hard as you can possibly hit, and their Qi is protecting them. No, they don't feel anything. Well, that's because you're not right. The Qi is ground and they're not feeling anything. They just feel normal. It seems like, well, this is normal. It's interesting how different people react to energy because it is unseen. So how do you deal with the unseen? But how this training works is we give, on the physical level, we give the body a message that it needs to grow. And on the golden shield level, the abdominal level, it starts out, you just go like this. There's certain spots, you just get some vibration going there. And we'll do different spots. And then we do some visualizations on starting to learn how to guide your energy and feel your energy. But basically that's the physical. Well, after 2 weeks, for some people a month, some people this is a lot, because think about it. How often do you vibrate your body horizontally? That gives your body a message like, oh, there's vibration there. I need to get a little stronger there. It's a little stress, but it's not a lot. I mean, like have you going like this. It's not a lot, but it's enough that the body is amazing. It will go, I need to be stronger, and it'll grow the energy in that part of the body. Just like push-ups will grow your arm muscles, your energy can be grown. And that has what has been refined in this training and how to grow the energy. Now, after 2 weeks, you're going to get bored with this. Like, what the heck am I doing? So then we say, now you need to maybe go to a loose fist. And eventually, that's going to get boring. So then you have to go to a tight fist. And then that's going to get boring. We go to a wood block and a brick and then 2-person practice. Where you can't, you're going to hurt. I had a student bruise his hands with his belly. And he was a normal, he was probably in his 40s, 50s, wasn't muscly. His Qi had grown enough. He came to me and goes, look what I did. He was like, I bruised my hand. He was proud of himself. So I thought, oh, wow, come to me right away. You know, we need to move you on. And it's amazing. In 7 months, I was ready to seal, which meant somebody like my husband could hit me as hard as he could here, and my Qi would protect me. And that what I mean by seal is we have a process where we seal the memory of you at that high point of energy. We seal that memory. It's like when you ride a bike and you finally get it, that memory is kind of sealed in your body. So when you get on a bike 3 years later, 20 years later, it doesn't take you very long and you're riding the bike again. So we have a way to create that memory to stick with you. So you don't go below that level of energy again. You can go below it temporarily, like in a car accident, you blow your energy out, protecting you. It will rebuild because we put that memory there back to where it was, if you give it the chance to rebuild. So, and what will happen after a sealing is that many years later, and you'll see, because we'll do some torso training on me, you'll be able to protect yourself, at least for 10 hits or whatever. Now when you're training, you might be able to take an hour of the whole torso being worked on. But to get back to that point, it might take you 2 weeks if you wanted to get back there. But for a minute or two, you're fine, because it holds that energy memory. Unlike the muscles from push-ups, if you don't keep doing them, they turn to fat, and then you're back to where you started or worse. But anyway, that's sealing. I wanted to cover that, and kind of how the body is using its own ingredients. It uses the sexual essence, which is the subtle level of the sexual energy, which our body is used to replenishing, because we use it all the time. Every time you have an orgasm, you release that energy, so it can be replenished. So what happens is the body, and we don't purposely tell it, that's the energy it goes to, and it converts it to Qi, and it'll fill your liver and spleen or whatever energy we're challenging. Now, the advantages of that is, once your liver, spleen, organs are stronger, they can make more sexual energy essence quicker. So it's not like we're depleting the essence, we actually are creating a body that can remake it easier. So it actually revives your vitality that way too. And we have herbs and things, because the kidney area, kidneys, ovaries, testes are the area that create the sexual essence we're using. So we have herbs to keep them strong. And for some reason, like I said, really frail people tend to not be able to practice as much because they don't have as much essence to build from. So that's where the herbs come in to help support. And what we really want strong are the major organs. So then, for example, the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. We get the kidneys real strong, then you're not tapping your adrenal energy all the time. In fact, things will happen to me that in the past I would have tapped adrenal energy, which you can usually tell because you start shaking when you tap the adrenal energy. It goes into your body and it causes that vibration. Now I don't need to tap I have enough strength in my kidneys and body, enough Qi, that I don't even, the adrenals don't even think, oh, I need to put out some adrenaline. So it's very useful that way. Any more questions, comments? Hi.
What times are the classes?
Well, the Golden Shield class I was thinking to have at 1 o'clock on Sunday twice a month. I come to Michigan twice a month. So I was thinking about 12:30 on 2 Sundays a month. And then, that would be it, just twice a month. Then what happens is everybody has the same steps to go through, but you won't experience them the same. And you won't be ready to move on to the next level all as a group. It's not like you'll all be able to move as a group. It'll be based on your lifestyle, because a lot of people I've trained get more energy and they just pump it into their lifestyle, so they can't train a lot either, because everything new they're getting, they're spending. So it takes them longer. Or if you're just more delicate, it'll take longer. Some people who are very athletic, they can get through a level in 5 months that takes another person 8 months. That's why I need to come to town twice a month. So I actually will watch you practice. What we'll do is we'll sit, have a guided visualization, we'll discuss how your practice is going, what your experiences are, because sometimes one person's experience will really help you understand something that you've been experiencing. So we discuss that. I may go over some theory. My teacher was very good on presenting theory. I'm okay with it. Sometimes I'll watch a tape so I can remember some of the theory points because it's very interesting. Anyway, and maybe I can get him to come speak once in a while. But we'll have theory, and then I'll say, everybody practice, and I will watch each of you practice to make sure that you haven't kind of changed the practice. And I'll tell you, everybody changes practice. I'll show you the practice, and everybody's going to do it a little differently. So I have to make sure you didn't change it so it's not still on track, and to see if you're ready to move. So you get individual attention every class. And that's basically it. The classes are usually about 1.5 to 2 hours, twice a month. And it's $100 a month. I have to be able to afford to come here, and then I use my energy to teach. And it's valuable having me and Larry and whoever else is ahead of you around, because our bodies vibrate the signal of a higher level of functioning, and your body will be able to pick up on that subconsciously, and it helps you keep training. So it's really important, even if you're sick at all, or whatever, at all, to come to class, and like even sit in the back and just be in the energy, because otherwise your mind often likes to be where it's at, doesn't want to change. It's very comfortable to just stay where you're at. So it'll come in and say, I don't want to practice anymore. Because you start changing. This is a very dramatic practice. I mean, to think about it. And we'll show you a little bit. I haven't prepared for this. That's why I kind of look a little nervous, but I should be fine. But it's dramatic, and your mind will come in and give you all kinds of reasons to stop. So if you just come and sit in class and feel the energy, it usually is enough to keep you practicing, to keep you inspired, to keep you training. So, yes, okay.
Any recommendations for somebody who has done yoga for 10 years, has a certain way of thinking, exercising?
Yeah, you have to. I love yoga. I think it's a great thing. But if you allow it to prejudice you against anything I might say, you're just going to quit. So you have to come with an open mind, like an empty cup, and just be innocent. I know you probably know a lot. And I remember I used to do 4 hours of yoga a day. I was very strong when I was young, 19. And then I worked on my father was a residential builder, and I worked on this roofing crew, and I was really strong. I think yoga's got a lot of good things about it. I think if you can do both, not give up your yoga flexibility, and it's good for the joints and all, but take this and let it grow your energy body, it'll be great. But you have to, sometimes it's a different energy than yoga. It's much more yang. Our physical practice looks very yang, but we need the yin too. And if that alienates you, you'll just quit. So that's why I say you have to come with just an empty cup, innocent, happy. We say when we train, we're changing the energy in your body and your cells. You're feeding it to your cells. So the best energy to have when you're training is childlike, happy. And that opens up the meridians. Because other than that, I don't know. And then keep in touch with me. I've noticed many yoga teachers don't have a lot of kidney energy. So we really have to work on growing their kidney energy. Maybe even before they do a lot of practice. Larry and I were discussing that on the way here. We've noticed a lot of the yoga people, their kidney energy is low. They can't get through a lot of the training. That's not universal. Of course, there's some people their kidney energy is still high, and I don't know why that would be, because it's a great practice. So just keep, I would say, communication. And kidney energy you usually feel here, the whole sacral area in the knees. The knees are weak. It's often the sun, the kidneys are weak.
abdomen to protect yourself, but it's the Qi firing. Is that
It's
correct?
not only the Qi. We always try, what we're trying to do is get the mind and the body, because once the mind comes in, the Qi will come in. So we have to use all three. So we do tighten, but I'm got more fat there than I would like, and I'm not a washboard abdomen. But we want to get the Qi in there, so we do use the muscles because we have to have the mind feel the muscles to get the Qi in there. So we often say the term 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 mind, 1/3 Qi, 1/3 body, all working together. I mean, things will happen sometimes where the Qi, like Monte once, he's on legs, you don't mind if I tell
Go
this
ahead.
story? He was trying to break a tile, and he says, I think I just do this physically. And then he was just fooling around, he just touched his leg, and the tile broke. In that case, the Qi had expressed, I mean, I was very grateful it did that, by the way, because you were really skeptical. And the tile just broke, and he's like, oh, I guess the Qi is. So sometimes that happens, but we do, and you'll see as I demonstrate, I do tense my muscles and use the muscles too. But it's the Qi that's really protecting me.
It's not all tension. One time she had me go up and for the demo
Demonstrate.
before I even sealed first level. And usually if we're practicing with other people, and Ed brought some of his karate people that were used to breaking.
And they didn't
Boards
want to
and
get a woman.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I told them, well, I've never done this with someone I'm not practicing with, so, start off lightly and build up slowly, because I don't know what's going to happen. So there was one person who went to hit me, and a couple of times when he went, my Qi fired, and you could see it moved his hand out of the way a little bit. For me, it was a good feedback to know that, okay, here's a guy that's trying to hit me as hard as he can, and it's okay.
Ross, did you?
Well, so I'm starting the martial arts, and they said, so you've done martial arts, what can you do? And I said, I do this right now. And I said, hit me, and he was a black belt. He goes, I'm not going to hit you. And he goes, just hit me low and start speeding up. And I said, harder, 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 harder. And he says he couldn't hit me any harder. He was a black belt, and he says, I feel the energy coming out. And I go, this is amazing. So he was thinking of coming here, but I forgot to call him about the time. So if the gentleman demonstrates by hitting one of us, you might even feel the energy coming back.
So you can tell him if he's interested, he can watch there's me talking on, what is it, Google
Video.
video doing a talk like this. And then he could just come to the first class in 2 weeks. It's hard, I haven't had many martial artists stick with it because again, they have all these notions and this is very simple training. Even though it has dramatic results and it's not flashy enough and then it just, this is. But Ed stuck with it and he's grateful he did, so it's just a matter of individual preference. Hi.
Will it be ongoing? Because I'm not in town every weekend.
It's only twice a month and it will be ongoing. The first 3 classes in Golden Shield, I cover some basic information. So those I usually, you stay with the level of your group. But then after that, it's just you can make it, whatever classes you can make it to wherever you're at, I'll go with you from there.
And usually there's other people in the level, so they'll help you.
So, if you know ahead of time you're going to miss a whole month, both classes, you can just let me know and you don't have to pay for that month. But other than that, unless it's a real pinch for you, I need you to pay the $100 a month so I can know I have enough money to get here and back and do whatever I need to do. I need that commitment. But if you let me know a month ahead of time you're going to not be for the whole month, I'm fine with that. You don't have to pay for
I
that.
guess I was mostly concerned about whether it would disqualify someone from participating.
No, because everybody grows at their own rate. And you can always, if you have a question, call me and I'll work with you over the phone where you're at talk too. And it's better if I can see you, but we can talk about it and keep you going. That's,
And if, you should probably tell me about pregnancy if you're pregnant.
oh, right. Right, if you're pregnant, you stop practicing because you need your Qi to grow your baby. So we don't want to be competing with the baby for your energy. So we just let that process happen. And then I think it's 3 months after you've had the baby, you can start up again. Also, cancer is not one we recommend, or we even, if we know about it, allow you to do this training. It's just part. I don't know exactly, but I've heard different reasons, but it's better to let your energy fight the cancer than to try and grow your Qi out while you're dealing with that.
I know you mentioned that you would each get individual training, but how large would you anticipate a class to be?
Well, this is a nice size group, so depending on how many of you start, that would be your class for the first 3 times. And then if there's enough of you, I'll just keep you in that class. Otherwise, I have another group of about 8. I would put you together with them in that group, depending on how many of you there were. And they're mostly doing torso, which is a different level. There's this is the basic level. This is your balance point, lower dantian. This is where you keep your attention, you keep your energy in your body. This is the best one to develop first. After that, you can go to torso, which covers the whole torso from waist to neck. And that develops out the lungs, kidneys, and heart. First one, liver and spleen. The last of the 3 treasures would be the head, which develops the marrow bones. And just it reconnects pathways that have been disconnected. It's just I enjoyed that level. It was one of the easier levels for me. Torso was the hardest one for me. For women, often torso can be harder because it's just not an area that's as strong as it is for the men. Then there's also arms and legs, which don't involve a major organ. But we do get the meridian pathways open. And part of what we're doing is we're rewiring your energy system. So it's like rewiring a house from real tiny wires that can only run, what do you call it? I'm not 110 energy to maybe 210 or 410. Actually, the meridians get bigger because on leg level, if you try and break a tile here too soon, you can get a bruise on your thigh. And I'll use Larry as an example. So the first time he bruised his thigh, he had a little white line of energy running up it, which is the substomach meridian had fired and protected the Qi in the middle of the thigh, but didn't make it out to the edges. And he had broke the tile. And it heals up real fast. We have herbs for bruises. You don't usually bruise leg levels, the one that I bruised on. It's hardest to fire through all this tissue. It's easier to fire right from the bone. And then years later, we're doing a demo and we decided to break some tiles. I
I was
didn't.
trying to break a piece of wood.
Oh, were you?
I was trying to break a-
Well, no, this is different. You were breaking tiles. We needed half tiles. That was it. So rather than get a tile cutter, I just said, Larry, can you make me some half tiles? So he's making me half tiles so the students can start with half tiles on their hand training. And he hadn't done it in years. And he bruised just a little tiny line on each side of his thigh. And the whole area in between was protected. It was totally normal. So that's a sign of showing of how the meridians actually are able to carry more energy after doing this training. You go from a wiring system that's very thin, and I think that's why the spiritual levels can develop more if you're so inclined, because you can run more energy through your body. So you can download your higher self easier without frying your wiring system, which I've seen people do in Fairfield. So not on this training, just being in that kind of a spiritual group like that.
What happens when they, like in the TM groups, they fry them? What happens when people
I
fry
think it's
themselves to
more
spiritual?
people who are doing Kundalini, different Kundalini techniques would send a lot of Qi up into their brain, and then they get this vibration, and their meridians in their brain weren't necessarily open. It can cause some nerve problems. Doesn't always, and it might just be temporarily, but they can kind of fry. Some people who have, all of a sudden they just have this wonderful experience and they're never the same. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's an overload, and then they become really sensitive to certain things and can only eat certain things and can't go out in the sunlight, weird things like that. So that's what can happen if your physical body can't hold the energy that comes into it. But it's rare, but it helps. I think that's why I've grown spiritually too, is because I developed out a bigger spiritual body.
And you have the desire.
Right, and I was doing practices to do that. Yes?
Can you just describe those levels, the on level and A level, of course, one head? I know everybody develops individually, but how long approximately would you say average does it take to get through those levels to have the whole thing covered?
Well, it's on the website. I list how long each level, but here's about 6 to 8 months. Here it's been taking about a year. Torso about 2 years, so there's 3 years. Head, no more than a year. So maximum, I'm giving you conservative numbers, 3 years. Arms and legs, another year and a half, so 4.5, 5. But like I said, it's highly individual depending on your lifestyle. I don't know how long it took me to do the levels I did.
I'm coming up on 3 years and I've done legs, hands, and we're doing a men's level right now. And a lot of us, there was one of the guys was in his 70s, and he's just taking his time, he's retired, he's not in any big rush. A lot of us here in Ann Arbor don't seem to be in any big rush, so. That's why we take longer here, we don't care.
Well, it's that, and then my teacher is just a powerhouse of energy. He just blasts the room with energy, so people grow fast, but people drop out faster too. So, it has its advantages and disadvantages. I'm more mellow. So, any other questions at this point? We can actually show you, if you want to feel the energy. I need somebody to warm me up. Like I said, I didn't prepare. I'm like, I got a demo, I got to practice something. So, and I did this level in 1999, so 9 years ago. And I'm still as strong, pretty much as strong as I was then. So and Ed is a black belt in karate. But he's also a gentleman, so I'm always trying to get him to work harder on me than he's willing to do. And then you can come up, he's just going to activate the energy, and then you can come up and see if you can, see what you can feel. One lady accused me of having a board in here once. And I had a dress on, so I couldn't show her that. Oh, crazy.
Shield up.
No, but you can do a few punches.
Okay.
Not enough of a warm-up.
If you have a very fragile nature, just keep your energy inside yourself while we're doing this. Don't get freaked out. I'm going to start light and do more and more as the moments go on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. if I continue, I'm gonna be getting tired. Now, what is it, you were doing the same thing after what, 5 months, 6 months?
Might have been a little longer.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 months.
It's
Karen was
amazing.
so strong and you were so happy.
Yeah, I loved it.
Because like, you're feeling invincible. It actually helps, right? Especially I know for me on hand level, when I broke tiles with my hands, I'm not that kind of person. I never expected to do that, but I had to do it in the training. And I broke all kinds of boxes I had put myself in. Kind of broke those boxes. It was very empowering. It's very good.
I could use more leg power and body power, and I believe I could hit her more harder. I also believe if I did that, I could injure my hand, and I have painting to do tomorrow and that sort of stuff. So
Well,
I don't
plus you
want to
can
injure
always
my hand.
push me back, because with the weight, you can push me back,
But I'm going to encourage some other people to come up and just go ahead and start lightly. Start lightly and work your way up, because you can actually feel the energy come out to your hand if you're aware of it and you're concentrating. So please, some others, please come up and give
And
it a
I've
try.
never bruised from a demo. I've never even bruised. I did get a stagnation once. I had a black belt really hit me a lot of times right in the solar plexus, and I could tell when I got home. It's a little sore, but after a couple days it dissipated, but I wasn't bruised. And she held up.
We should have Larry come up too, because I think men hitting women, it's like that psychological thing.
Oh, well,
You want me to work on you?
No.
she's really. Karen's in a
She wants to
delicate
work
spot.
on you.
She's in a delicate spot right now.
No, I meant a man hitting you and stuff.
Oh, work on Larry?
Yeah.
Oh, because I don't want to hit. Well, I can't hit her.
I haven't.
There's a thing about frequency, and sometimes the of a woman's frequency will pierce. I don't pierce
Especially
any.
when they're real close to you.
My husband, I always pierce his shield, so I can't.
It's like, on Star Trek, how you learn the field shield frequency, they can send little missiles right
And
through
they
it.
can. So I always get.
They're married, what can you say?
I always get through his shield, but
Give it a try.
You want to work on North, or you want to work on me?
I'll do both.
yeah, it's very different. And my
Yeah.
energy is very different than his, so it'll feel different. Maybe you should warm him up that,
It's been a while since.
because he wasn't expecting the demo. Go ahead.
Understood.
Yeah. Yeah.
1, 2,
Right.
3.
I'm strongest at the navel.
Now, is it possible to just feel
Well,
like that, or?
I'm not feeling, it's just my energy tends to run deep. I'm more, believe it or not, I'm more of an introvert. So my energy tends to be deep. So it'll just stay deep unless it feels like it needs to come out. So for me to actually generate a field
Right,
is not,
something has to happen.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you have to challenge the field before.
Right.
You can. Yeah, the harder you hit, the more it'll come out.
Right.
So let's try it.
I'm kind of thinking if I go all for it, then I'm gonna shatter my arm or something.
No. Wow, that was good.
Yeah, I can feel something coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom.
Now, you folks
So you
realize,
do some martial arts or something?
It's been a while, but.
But that was those were pretty good hits.
these are byproducts of the practice.
It's not why we do
The
the
plan
practice.
is not to, go out and show, no. The plan is to change my internal organs so that I live to 150, really healthy, and my body can knock off disease and chemicals in the food and that sort of stuff.
Will the training allow your energy to shut off if you determine that you want to shut everything off?
Well, the master who brought
You know,
this,
say I got to be 132,
and you wanted to die,
and you know, that's enough. I'm finished, I'm done.
you'd have to, I don't know how to do that, I couldn't teach you how to, you'd have to study with some Aboriginal or somebody who knew how to do it, but I think you would have the ability possibly.
It seems like all the great masters throughout time, that's how they do it.
Mhm.
They're just, well, I've done what I came here to do, and now it's time.
And the master who brought this to the US went to an expo where they were doing the photography of auras. And they took his picture, and he is really introverted. I mean, he's Oriental, and he's like, and they go, sir, there's something very wrong. You have no aura. He goes, there's something very wrong. And he goes, oh, okay, hold on. They go, take it again. So then they took a picture, and he had this huge aura with all these colors everywhere. So he is very good at just keeping his, you would never know it if you met him. I doubt you would know it. He had a lot of Qi, and he is just very contained. So he's able to at least keep it in, or he's very good at controlling it.
Oh, can I hit someone?
Yeah.
Oh. Let's get to the real reason why we're here.
Well, you can start here. Just start light. And then
Can you do it so I can get it on film?
So you can knock me back. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. That one went in a little bit. I wasn't. But,
Because I'm new, how long? Like
Yeah.
6 months, and,
oh, you want him to work on you?
yeah, if he wants to.
Okay.
I'm getting sore, kind of. I am,
No.
so.
It's creating a little bit of stagnation there, a little bit.
All right, go.
And guys tend to use sound. If you go to a guy's class, they're all going, oh, oh.
Boy,
After a while, it's like, that's it.
You don't have to.
I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
When different people, they react different. When I was working this level, I was the giggler. They'd be punching me, and it would start to actually tickle a little bit, and I'd say stop, and I'd giggle, and then I'd say, okay, let's.
Well, actually, often what happens, when that happens, you have enough Qi and it's going up to the chunk fu, the heart protector, and it's opening it. And so then you start laughing because the heart's been activated. Because you didn't just fire it out, some went up. And I had that happen at one demo. I was new student, and I demoed, and I fired so hard the next day, my ribs hurt from the inside. I didn't have any bruises, but I had fired my Qi so much. I had fired. So normally you guys wouldn't do this. You know, this is, I'm only doing, because otherwise it's just words. How can you show energy? We'll show one more thing because it's dramatic. This was my bat on torso, and this is like after a year and a half, you're about to bat. And my ribs, I have very good bone density. These are my ribs.
You might want to mention when you had your x-ray done.
Oh, okay. So one of my students goes to a chiropractor in East Detroit that adjusts the atlas bone. And I thought my atlas might be out. And so I go there, and he wanted to do an x-ray first. I'm thinking, God, I've been breaking tiles on my head and being hit in the ribs with bats, and I feel good, but I have no idea what my bones are going to look like. And so he comes into the office, my student's sitting there, with my chart, and he goes, "You're a real character, aren't you?" And I go, "I don't know, am I?" You know? He goes, X-ray and he said, look at how white these bones are. They're all bright white, my skull, my spine. He said, look at the curve. This is a little out, but look at that. And he was just going on and on about how healthy my bones were. So to me, that's definitely from this training. Because before I started this training, I don't think I was that healthy. And he's like, I bet you're never sick a day in your life. It's like you do detox doing this training. Because as you grow your energy, to get through the meridians, it has to move out the stagnations, which are chemical on some level. And they come and you have a detox, and it can look, if you go slow enough, it's usually not a problem, but it can look like a cold or a flu, usually. Sinus drainage, a little flu, a little cold. And then afterwards, you're amazed because you haven't practiced for a week or something, you're stronger than before you did the detox. So it's not like your energy just grows and it's all easy. Maybe it's been that way for some students, but most of us have some toxins that have to leave. And if you get really excited at a practice and overdo it, that's when you usually detox because you've overdone it. But it's usually not. We're all used to having a cold and flu once in a while. I actually get less colds and flus than I ever did. But you do detox.
I've had one cold in 8 years of doing this. It just, I'm around people that cough and sneeze at work, and it seems to just drop off of me, which is handy in Michigan.
Well, you have it. We'll call this Golden Temple Qi Gong because we're building a golden kind of energy field to protect you. That's the plan. That's the intention. Yes.
I don't mean this question in a critical way at all, but each time when I looked at Qi Gong, I was seeing those videos, like just short videos on very peaceful music in the background, very peaceful, slow movements with your body, and it sounds so very different.
It is.
That's
That's why I said.
3,000 kinds of Qi Gongs, or?
Yeah, and a lot of them, they're just moving. They're working with the energy they have. They take, and they're trying to feel it. So they're like moving the energy. You know, they're doing different. It's like I'm feeling the energy in my hands. We do have aspects of that. And actually, but you don't grow it very fast, if at all, doing that. You do become more aware, you do increase your flexibility, but you don't have the dramatic effects of actually growing the energy like you do with this. And the truth is, I'm not going to hit you unless I know you're going to win. See, that's part of the training, is you should always win. If I see somebody who's like beating themselves up, I go, no, stop. There was one girl in Fairfield who I trained on torso a lot with. She always wanted me to hit her harder than I knew. I could feel her chi firing. She was from Bulgaria, and she liked losing, that you got to pain and take pain, kind of thing. And I finally wouldn't hit her hard enough, so she quit having me train her. But the point is, you can grow that way, but it's usually one step forward, two back, because then there might be some little damage, and you gotta repair that and then grow. And you can deplete yourself trying to train that way. So the key is to always win. You wanna feel like you're winning. So this, I am going to be winning. I just want to show the bone density. And this is Orange Osage that I trained with, so I like the energy of it. It's got a lot of my energy in it from when I was on this level years ago.
Please don't be freaked out. We're not crazy.
But this is just showing how strong you get. You can leave the room if you're uncomfortable.
I don't need to leave.
Okay, so go ahead. Start
Close
out.
your ears. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hurry.
1, 2, 3.
Hurry.
1, 2, 3.
Now I do get a little warm. I'm converting. Right now I'm converting some essence to chi, and I can feel that now happen.
You might want to talk about the conversion in the first level a lot. I noticed that when I was doing this, I would get quite warm, and that's part of the process of.
When you convert physical, even if it's very subtle physical essence to Qi, heat is released. So you will feel heat. And if I notice you're getting too hot, I make you stop. My teacher was always making me stop because I was converting too much. But yeah, there can be heat. Sometimes there's not. When you get strong, I just hadn't done this in a while, so I'm converting. But when you get strong, it's just like, you just, yeah, okay, do the back, do the whatever. Yeah, when we train the whole back. But that's torso level. That's the most challenging level, but actually it's the most rewarding level. It usually really strengthens and purifies all the systems on torso. But this is a good one. This gets your balance point started. Where if you really want to conserve your energy, one thing you can do is you can put your tongue to the roof of your mouth and breathe to your abdomen. And try to imagine like a sun or a crystal ball inside your body, below your navel. That gets your mind and your body, and it'll start pulling your energy. Your mind is the key to your energy. So we all have a little energy signature that's a little different from each other, and it's based on our mind. So your mind is your key. So getting your mind here in your body helps pull the Qi in. And you can paint a little dot, like a red dot on that ball, and you'll see it spin. And that'll help pull your energy in. That's one of the things we do. Go ahead.
I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, and if you don't want to talk, that's okay, but we're trying to do a new demo tape. You do research and you're a physician, right?
That's right.
Would you be willing to go up and talk a little bit about why you're doing it and what you've noticed?
Sure.
Thanks.
I'm actually most interested in mind-body interactions, especially when it comes to chronic pain management. So people with fibromyalgia, neck pain, back pain. A lot of them have underlying sources of stress that might be perpetuating their pain. And this is actually, Qi Gong is an ancient practice that pretty much is all about the mind-body connection. I mean, they don't paint it in very hippie-like terms, if you will, because back then it was just very esoteric, very disciplined training. But a lot of things have come out of the Eastern philosophies that have now benefited medicine. We have mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is beneficial for pain, for cardiovascular health. Certain types of meditation, other than that, are also beneficial for relaxation and so forth. What I'm doing this for is because I want to experience it firsthand, so then I can actually study it in the laboratory and see what exactly is going on. How is the consciousness actually able to change things in the body, and potentially using it for preventative purposes. So, people learn this in kindergarten or something. Starting in grade school, they learn how to regulate their Qi, how to protect their body and so forth, and then become stronger. And they don't have to get heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and so forth. So, I haven't figured out how it works just on my own because I'm not there yet. I'm still building up my research career, and I have a lot of theories. But I don't know, there's probably a lot of different theories tossed around as to what Qi is in the scientific realm.
So what have you noticed from your practice for yourself personally?
Well, I think what I've noticed is limited just because, like Lori was alluding to, whenever I get more energy, I spend it. And I spend it on my career, basically. I have a very demanding career, as Nancy will attest to, and I try to cram in a lot in my extracurricular life too. So, but I have been able to, in terms of emotions and mood, center myself better. I mean, I'm still suffering from a little bit of, hot-headedness or whatnot, but I think I'm able to center it. And definitely from the practice, I'm on torso right now. I mean, just the simple ability to resist that force that comes into my ribs is a definite change. I mean, I'm typically pretty sensitive to touch, and I don't get massages and so forth, but unfortunately, I easily take at least my bean bag as hard as I can on my ribs and so forth. So. All right.
Thank you.
The master who brought this here is more a scientist than anything, and he's been researching on the chemistry of Qi. He's trying to figure that out. He's more interested in things like that than the actual training at this point. Yes.
Is there a counterforce to Qi, and can you explain the relation of Qi to yin and yang?
Yeah, there's yin and yang. Qi's energy. So there's energy that is yin and there's energy that is yang. Energy is more neutral than yin and yang. Yin and yang would be above just basic Qi. Yin is the dark, heavy, feminine, and male is the yang, aggressive, light. So they're different types of energy. They're both energy. So I don't know what the counter force of energy would be. Anti-matter, matter, energy. I don't know.
Actually, if you think of the yin and the yang, it's always in relation to where you're at. So if you go up to a river, it's flowing by. That's that. If you get into the river and you move and you're facing upstream, yang energy is coming, and yin when it leaves you. But it's just the river. It's where you are in relationship to the energy as to how you experience it.
She is energy, so it's everything is energy. Matter is energy. It's just vibrating differently.
Yin and yang have a lot of, they're just basically polar opposites that in Chinese philosophy can be applied to a lot of different aspects. Polarity, like positive and negative polarity and so forth. Personally, I think that this practice, the yin and yang, yin is gravity, the ability to warp space-time so that you're sucking energy in, and yang is the opposite. It's radiating that so that the space-time lines go towards the surface.
That's a good explanation. I like that because in our practice, it may look young, but if you were watching carefully, in between when they were hitting me with the bat, I go to total yin. If I just stay on, my energy starts going down. The true form, I have to fire yang, and then I go to yin. Then I am much more powerful than if I stay. And that's something I struggle teaching sometimes, because some people think, no, I just have to stay on. And then their energy starts dissipating. It builds, and in fact, this practice 3 days a week, you practice a day. Those days you're not practicing, we call your yin days. Those days are when a lot of work is happening. That's when the body's growing the Qi. So we don't recommend practicing every day, because then you don't go to yin. You don't go to the yin energy. So the yin is very important. This may look like a very young practice, but that's just one aspect of it. We also do visualizations, all kinds of things. So it's not just a young practice, but it is what is growing the energy so quickly. Because the body is responsive. The body can respond. It's just we rarely challenge the body. I know I've heard the master say, we use the mouse. Eventually, in generations to come, we're going to all have these big heads, because as you use your hands, your frontal cortex develops. That's why it's all wrinkly, trying to fit in the skull. It keeps trying to fit in as we develop the frontal cortex. We keep growing, so the head's got to get bigger, and we're going to body shrink. So we're trying to balance it. This kind of training balances that. We get all the body's intelligence activated, not just the frontal cortex, which is the way to
You might want to mention, I don't remember it exactly, but there was that one study where they had the kids, all they did was they jumped up and down.
Oh,
And just, part of it is just giving your body a signal to do something.
right, this was a school system out west, northwest, I can't remember if it was British Columbia or Washington State, where in between classes, when the bell rang, each class they would divide in two, and half of the class would jump up and down 8 times every time the bell rang. And the other half of the class would, at the end of the year, they did bone studies. The children who were flexing the bones and causing that little bit of stress, they had more significant bone density growth than the other children. So it's just that little bit of stress. They did a thing with sheep too, where they were standing them on a vibratory platform, and it was growing out their bone density. So stressing the body a little bit, which is what we do, even though we do it very incrementally, starting out here. So most of you can handle this, I hope. Sometimes it starts detoxing people right away, and so we have to move even slower. But we don't have you doing something you can't handle. And you are always in control. Whenever you do two-person practice, that actually is one of the beauties of this training, is you have to take responsibility for your life, because you have to be willing to tell this person who's you're training with, stronger, less, no, that's too much, go less. You have to take responsibility for that. And you'll be amazed how many people are not willing to take responsibility. They say, no, you're the teacher, you should know. I say, no, you have to express it to me or I will not work with you. It's part of the growth process, being able to communicate that. So there are levels to these trainings that may look like you're just doing crazy things, but there's subtle levels that are growing you on the psychological level as well.
You might want to mention your reaction to having to hit someone when you first started having to do that.
Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago, but I had grown up with brothers and an unhappy father and a lot of rage in the family, and I saw a lot of violence as a child. So I had a great, and I felt powerful, even though I was little. I had a great resistance to two-person practice. I knew I was going to have to do two-person practice because I knew I was strong enough on one person, and at the next class I went to, I was going to have to do two-person practice, and I was literally a basket case because I didn't want to hit anybody. There was just this ingrained, I had seen enough violence that I didn't want to do it. So we get to class, and sure enough, this other girl and I were at the head of the class, and my teacher says, Lori and Lydia, come up and I want you to demonstrate two-person. And I just started crying. Because why are you crying? We'll let you hit her first. I go, no, that's why I'm crying. I don't want to hit her. So she hit me first. I was fine with that because I knew I was strong and I wasn't worried about it. But she was this tiny little person. It took me a lot to get through that. But once I was able to, it was a big detox for me. Releasing all those imprints from my childhood about violence. So it was powerful. And now I have no problem with it. But sometimes I still get a little uncomfortable when I'm working on somebody, especially if I feel they're not communicating with me. They'll start to come back a little bit, but not too much. So anyway, if you're interested, make sure you sign the sheet, and I'll send you an email. We'll start at 12:30 in 2 weeks here. And yes,
What is your address?
goldenshieldorg. And I don't even think you have to put in
No.
golden chain color. And that explains the different levels, and there are some tools, so there's, like in the first class, there's a manual and some herb, and that costs about $15. Because we have an herb we put on externally to make sure it keeps everything moving. So stagnations can happen sometimes. When you hit yourself and you get a bruise, that's a stagnation. So we have an external herb that helps keep everything moving, and it's a great herb. If you ever get a bruise, it gets rid of them like that. I've had burns that I've gotten rid of by soaking it in the herb. It's a really good herb. Some secret Chinese recipe. Any other questions? Well, I really appreciate everyone coming today. It's really nice to meet you. It's a lot of fun being able to express this. Like I said, I didn't actually say this, but throughout my life I've been able to do whatever I put my mind to, but I was never very enthusiastic about anything until I learned this. And since I learned this, I wanted to teach it. I really wanted to teach it. And because I had such a good experience